Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. In today's episode we're actually on a road trip. Now hopefully the weather's going to improve for us because we are heading to the largest distribution centre of Land Rover parts in the world.
You're at Britpart today in sunny Shropshire. I'm Managing Director here. We're here today with Jimmy Ville. Known Jimmy for years. Got a real interest in Land Rovers. We've done quite a few projects together on Land Rovers in the past. So Jimmy's in the area and said he'd call in and give you an update on what we do.
So I remember this Land Rover when it first came in here and it looked a sorry sight, but you've gone to work on it, and recently this was shown at Goodwood Festival of Speed.
Yes, correct, yeah. The chassis on the original vehicle was not much of it left. It had rusted away, being on the Isle of Jersey, so we put a new chassis in it, so it's got a heavy-duty galvanised Marsland chassis on. We've painted it black so that it looks original. But that's a key part of any Defender. The bulkhead and the chassis have to be good. Completely new panels, new doors, new front wings, and that's the only way you can really get them straight like that. So you get them laser straight with new panel work. We left the drivetrain pretty much standard. It's got a lot of new components on, but everything underneath is pretty much as it was.
It's a really beautiful looking thing. I love the fact also you've changed up. So this is a one-off, this rear door, isn't it?
No, we sell that. That's a stock item. That? Yeah, swing away rear door. So
just as a half door.
Yeah, a lot more practical than the tailgate. Wanted it to look like a very original early Land Rover. It's actually Series 2 mirrors on. We had to modify them to put them on rather than the bigger ones. Surprisingly, actually, you can actually see things behind you with them. It's pretty good. But yeah, there's split door tops, military split door tops, and the wood steering wheel all give it a really nice kind of original feel.
It has got that great heritage feel, but it's also got I don't know. There's a bit of luxury about it, isn't there?
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
It's got that timeless quality, but I mean, it's a lovely thing because it is just so shiny.
But it's great fun to drive. And we put a lot of dynamite in this door, in the doors, so you can not quite Volkswagen Golf standard, but it's not bad.
The rear door's the same, just this vehicle feels so much more solid.
And I think that's part of the evolution of Land Rover, in that everything in the past was not a restoration part, it was I need to get an MOT on an old cheap truck. So over the years, we've gone from using a locally sourced one to getting the same. Basically, that's made on the same tooling as Land Rover's door, so it is exactly the same as a Land Rover one. So you get the fit and the finish absolutely perfect.
The sort of psyche's changed a little bit, haven't they? Because now people they're not just getting through MOTs; they're trying to keep them on the road for however long. I mean, longer and longer and longer. So.
No, absolutely. It's and also people are not just saying we want to MOT it and we don't really care what it looks like. They're saying we want to restore it. We want restoration quality parts. We want the OE parts. And even to like Series 1s where people are saying it has to be exactly the same as it left the factory because we're doing a restoration. Yeah. It's not just a quick makeover. 15, 20 years ago, we were selling a lot of winches, a lot of checker plate, a lot of big suspension lifts, and people modifying the Defenders and the Discoveries at that stage to actually go off-roading and make them look really quite different. A lot of those cars are now being converted back to look standard because people want a factory look rather than a modified vehicle.
Yeah.
And I think because of the value of the vehicles, we've seen a change in the market as well, is that the Defender has become a Sunday car where it's not used every day. I think the most practical car for using every day at the moment is the Discovery 3, Discovery 4. My
initial introduction to Britpart, now this is, I'm going to say it's over 25 years ago. And it was when Britpart really first started hitting the scene in the Land Rover world from a parts perspective, certainly from my perspective. But I've seen over the years a massive improvement of quality of those parts, and also the interaction you have with the suppliers to make sure that everything goes smoothly.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think the key things are we set up a non-commercial workshop, which we're stood in today, where we test and develop the parts, and having that facility where we can get instant feedback on whether the part fits and whether it works, do long-term testing on it, and get then an engineered response to the manufacturer to say this needs changing, this needs changing. That's given us a real acceleration on developing the parts and getting the parts to quality we need. We also do obviously the wing panels, the doors, the rear wings, so that the whole skin of a car you can reskin with new parts, and they are all exactly to Land Rover specifications. So the wing panels and the doors and the bonnet, they are off the Land Rover tooling, and they are perfect to what they should be.
And you actually have a team in here that works sort of 5 days a week, making sure that there is continued quality controllers in those new parts as they come in.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, we test the parts we're selling. If we get feedback from a customer, we will test the parts that are coming back, and we've got a continual loop. So it's a closed loop system, so that we can feed back information straight away to a supplier to say we need an improvement on this, or we can test the parts a customer sent back and say, why has this failed? And it could be the car, it could be the fitting, it could be the part, and we can isolate that pretty quickly. On a lot of the parts, Land Rover will supersede a part through, so it'll start out as basically a Series 3 part and end up as a 2015 Defender part. But it looks the same, but there will be a technical difference. There'll be a reason why it's changed and evolved over the years.
Yeah.
And some of that is material. And so we've got hardness testers here. We can test the strength of the steel, test the strength of rubber to make sure we keep up with those changes. This is what we were talking about earlier. This is a fuel tank, which is probably from 1990 or something like that.
Yeah, the independent fuel tank, yeah.
Rear steel fuel tank. We still have the original fuel tank, so we're test fitting with the sender unit in there to make sure it fits and will seal properly.
And is this a new supplier, possibly, or a new product? Or?
It'll be a new batch from the same supplier.
Yeah.
So it's just an ongoing process of quality control.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll compare it to a genuine part.
Yeah.
And try and get it as close to that as we can.
As you can. Amazing.
And keep giving feedback then, and try and get.
So is it a sample piece they've sent?
Yeah,
They've made a sample. You're sort of critiquing the sample, and then you can send it back and say, we need to tweak this, we need to tweak that.
That's right. Yeah.
Paul's just thrust this into my hand. Does this mean we can measure this?
Yes, we can certainly. What we can do is one thing that we would check on a part like this would be to ensure that these holes are correct. So we're looking for the pitch circle diameter.
Okay, yeah. So you're taking, every time you pull the trigger, is that taking a measurement?
Yes.
That's it?
Every time I put the inside.
So you're just doing the inside of that?
Yeah. Pitch circle diameter of the part, which is 95.234 millimeters.
And then you'll be able to compare that against
Against a genuine
part.
All holes will line up so that when you fit the part, it will fit straight on.
So you also got some other bits and bobs
This
going on.
is a road spring compression tester.
Right.
So for all springs that come in, we can ensure that 10, 15, 20, 25 millimeters, the compression rate is exactly right. So, you can do that in kilos.
Yeah.
So that you know that when you fit it to a vehicle, the vehicle is going to ride correctly. If you're checking steel or aluminium parts, we can ensure that the steel used meets the correct specification.
So I was about to say, obviously, that number means nothing to me, but you have a set of specifications that you know you're looking for.
Yeah, and we can compare that to a genuine part and ensure that we're within the tolerance, which normally is plus or minus 5 HRA.
Well, I'm glad that's got 54.5 whatever's. That's good. Something else that I've been really impressed about is you used to have to buy, I can remember going in to my local spares place, going through that book and finding every little nut bolt washer. And the queue used to be crazy. It took ages. But what you've done and something you brought in is if you're doing the brakes, you'll get, say, the whole front hub assembly as a complete assembly or all the component parts together rather than every single little component part separately. Obviously, you can still get those, but I think that's been a really good progression because if you're doing that one big job, so say suspension, you can get it as a kit.
Sure, yeah. I mean, one of the most popular kits we sell is the swivel housing.
Yeah.
So it's not the best job to do in a Land Rover, but the front swivel housing, we do a kit, so you get everything in it, as you say, the grease, the bearings, the seals, everything to reassemble that. A lot of those seals are such low value, like the paper gaskets, when you're selling in bags of 10. So you don't need 10, you only need one. So it's a better way of buying it. The workshops like it because it's one part number, it's one item on a shelf. And also you can give it to the apprentice and say, fit that, and if there's anything left over, let me know. So it's kind of a safety check as well to make sure that if they've got a bearing left over, there's something missing in there.
So this one's more of a test mule.
Yes, this one is a 2011. We've owned it since brand new, in fact, this one. And this was originally a pickup, obviously made it into a hardtop, but use this really as an everyday car, but also do a lot of modifications to this to try parts on it and test things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. We've got a prototype bumper on at the moment, which is why it's starting to look a bit brown around the edges, because it's literally just painted to put it on. It's feathered at the edges to give it a bit more ground clearance, but also keep that OE look. Here we've got our line of research and development cars. Some are in better condition than the others.
Yeah.
So
Some old war dogs here.
the old war dogs, the Discovery 2 and the P38, unfortunately don't see a lot of life now.
But from previous years, that was what you were using to make sure component parts were right.
Absolutely.
Get things
So the P38 still has the original GEMS fuel injection system on it.
Yeah.
So anything we need to test on that, it's still running. It's not road legal, but we can use it to test. This is the 2012 Evoque. So that's a 2.2 Peugeot engine one. Really good engine in that. I shouldn't say that being a Land Rover guy, but they are. Nothing really goes wrong on those engines apart from the throttle body, and they keep plodding along. But again, that's just for test mule.
These have always been close to my heart.
Really nice car. I've always loved the Discovery 2. This is actually a V8 one, and it's actually a Japanese car. So a bit like the Defender we used for bulkhead testing. This has never been messed around with. It's perfectly
How does
original.
a Japanese car end up in sunny Shropshire?
Re-imported back in because they're in such good condition.
Wow.
Their MOT in Japan is incredibly difficult to pass. And so to get the car to this age in Japan without it being scrapped or sold for parts is quite difficult. So it is in perfect condition.
So when you're looking to do the parts, you're always looking for a really good example to use as your sort of baseline vehicle.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we want the vehicle to be as good as it can be, so we know the parts testing is going to replicate what it would have been originally. If a vehicle's worn out and got a load of other issues, it's difficult to actually isolate that part being good or bad.
Obviously then we've got the 110.
110, which we use a lot as a 110 is 2.4 ex-utility vehicle, which we refurbished. Really good workhorse. That just keeps plodding along, and we use it as a tow car.
90.
90. We've owned this one since brand new. It's showing its age a bit now. 2002, this one.
But it looks like it's been through the wars. I mean, you can see where something was fitted here on this side, but not that side.
Yeah, well, I think that wing's probably been replaced, but it had a set of headlight guards on.
There you go.
Yeah, had checker plate in the bonnet. But it's probably due in the next few years a bit of a cosmetic rebuild, this one. And again, then a 2011 Discovery 4. This is the earlier Discovery, so 6-speed gearbox, not the 8-speed gearbox. Really good vehicle. Fantastically practical, really good to drive, bit heavy in fuel around town, but again, this vehicle, we've had it since brand new, so we just keep testing parts on this, and it's probably the Discovery 3, Discovery 4 Range Rover Sport is probably the most popular vehicle for parts we're selling parts for at the moment.
See, for a Land Rover fan, coming here just to see the line-up in the car park is quite good fun, really. What's it called?
Chubby.
Chubby?
It's taller.
Oh, is it? Wow, look at this. I'm taking a selfie, it's that impressive. Wow, Britpart shopping trolley. Look at this. Chassis to the ceiling.